What's going on, Fight Flow family? Hope you're all having a powerful day, and if not, it's time to shift gears. Go do something that moves the needle. Read, train, build something. Champions aren't made overnight. They're built one rep, one setback, one win at a time. Consistency is the secret weapon. Stay patient, stay focused, and trust the grind. Everything you're dreaming of, it's already waiting for you, just gotta work until it shows up. Now that we've got your mindset, right? Let's dive in. Today, we're talking about a straight-up monster in the UFC middleweight division, Khamzat Chimaev. This dude isn't just a fighter. He's a force of nature. From the moment he steps into the octagon, you can feel it. The pressure, the violence. The intensity, it's like he's been dropped in there with a mission to break the man standing across from him. Especially in the first round, Khamzat fights like he's hunting, not competing. You see it in his walk, his eyes, his posture. He gives off that raw energy, like if it ever came down to it, he wouldn't hesitate to do what needs to be done. So how did this beast come to be one of the most feared fighters alive? To understand Khamzat Chimaev, you've got to go all the way back to his roots, and those roots are steeped in pain, war, and survival. Born in 1994 in Chechnya, Khamzat came into the world just months before the first Chechen war erupted. The country was on fire, violence, chaos, fear. For his parents, raising a child in that setting must have been a daily fight. That kind of environment doesn't produce soft people. It forges steel. While some fighters grow up in suburbs complaining about hard childhoods, Khamzat lived through a war zone. That reality is different. Like many boys from the Caucasus region, he was introduced to wrestling before he could probably even spell the word at just 5 years old. Khamzat hit the mats and he didn't just blend in. He stood out. After only a year of training, he earned a junior national bronze medal in Russia. Think about that, Trusha, where wrestling is practically a religion. That's like learning to swim and medaling in the Olympics the next week. But the path wasn't straight. Details are scarce about what finally made Khamzat and his family leave Chechnya. And maybe that's intentional. Whether it was politics, poverty, or just the search for peace, the Chimaevs packed up and left. In 2013, when he was 18 years old, Khamzat immigrated to Sweden with his mother to join his older brother. When asked why Sweden, Khamzat didn't give a deep philosophical answer. He kept it real. My brother called me and said, "We need to move to Sweden. We'll have a better life here." That was it. Once in Sweden, he wasted no time. Khamzat knew about Allstars Training Center in Stockholm, one of Europe's premier MMA gyms, home to some of the baddest fighters around. UFC veteran Alexander Gustafsson trained there. And even before Khamzat's UFC debut, Gustafsson had already spotted something special. He said, "Khamzat works harder than I ever did." That's not a light statement coming from a guy who fought John Jones and challenged for the UFC title 3 times. While Gustafsson might have peaked at 3 sessions a day in his prime, Khamzat was doing 5. That's not human, it's machine level. Gustafsson called him just that, a machine. He doesn't get tired, doesn't complain, doesn't coast. Whether he's in pain, gassed out, or under pressure, Khamzat pushes, and it's not all technique. His strength is freakish. Gustafsson said he hits like a heavyweight, moves like a lightweight, and his power doesn't just come from lifting. Weight sits natural, straight from the mountains. While sharpening his skills in Sweden, Khamzat dominated the national freestyle wrestling scene, becoming a 3-time national champion by 2016. He also picked up Sambo and Judo, layers to his game. By 2017, he was ready to throw hands for real and stepped into amateur MMA. He didn't hang around long. 3 fights, 3 stoppage wins. Khamzat was clearly ready for the pros. In 2018, he turned professional and bulldozed through his first 2 opponents in local events. Then came Brave CIFA, respected international MMA promotion. And just like everywhere else, Khamzat didn't just win, he mauled people. His knockout of Ikram Aliskerov, who's now doing big things in the UFC, was the one that got everyone's attention. That win turned heads, opened doors, and confirmed what many already suspected. Khamzat Chimaev wasn't just another good prospect, he was a future problem for the whole division. By 2020, the UFC came calling. It only took them a year of watching him terrorize Brave FC to realize this guy needed to be on the biggest stage. And when Khamzat finally debuted in the UFC, he didn't disappoint. He walked through John Phillips, took him down, dominated him, and submitted him in the 2nd round. Fans were like, whoa, this guy is for real. But what came next made it clear Khamzat isn't like anyone we've seen before. Just 10 days later, 10 days he stepped back into the cage against Rhys McKee. No rest, no hesitation, and guess what? Same result. Pure domination. One round, all Khamzat. Everyone was stunned. How does a fighter recover that fast and fight better the second time? People started drawing comparisons to Khabib Nurmagomedov, but with a darker, more violent edge. The memes started flying, evil Khabib. And yeah, there was something to it. The pressure, the grappling dominance, they were familiar. But Khamzat had this savage, unrelenting kill switch that was uniquely his. Thing is, Khamzat didn't love the Khabib comparisons. In fact, he's had a bit of friction with Khabib's team, but that's a whole story on its own. Let's just say, while Khabib was about control and composure, Khamzat is about chaos and destruction. And when he faced UFC veteran Gerald Mearsh, the whole world saw just how scary that chaos can be. But we'll save that moment and the storm it created for the next chapter. One thing I really respect about Khamzat Chimaev is that he doesn't hide behind a language barrier. His English might not be perfect, but he doesn't care. He gets in front of the mic, hypes the fight, speaks his mind, and brings the energy. Every single time, that confidence, putting yourself out there even when it's not polished, says a lot about who he is. Let's be honest, it gets frustrating seeing fighters who've been in the UFC for years, especially some Brazilians, still unable to speak basic English. Meanwhile, Khamzat's out here leveling up in and out of the cage. That's the kind of mindset that separates a solid fighter from a superstar. He's always improving, always adding tools, whether it's on the mats or at the press conference. And then came that Merchant fight. Man, when Khamzat walked out and absolutely starched Gerald Mearsh with the very first punch he threw. The MMA world exploded. We already knew he was a monster on the ground, smashing guys like it's a Dagestani hobby, but a clean, precise, one-shot KO like that. That was different. That was the moment everyone went from saying, he's good to he might be special. But even Khamzat isn't invincible. December 2020 hit hard. Out of nowhere, he started having serious lung issues. Multiple hospital visits, he wasn't training, wasn't recovering, and then came the news nobody expected Khamzat retiring from MMA. That was shocking. He posted about coughing up blood, being unable to breathe properly, and even hinted that this could be the end of his career. For a fighter who looked like a runaway freight train, it was jarring to suddenly see him human, vulnerable, and unsure of the future. Later, he admitted that retirement talk came from a place of fear and frustration. He was overwhelmed, but he didn't quit. He got the surgeries, followed the recovery protocols, and gave his body the rest it had clearly been begging for. Let's be real, when you train like a machine, sometimes the machine breaks down. That was the cost of going full throttle every single day. But credit to Khamzat, he learned from it, adjusted, and came back stronger. And that comeback, insane. He returned to the octagon like he never left, lifted Li Jingliang clean off the canvas, talked to Dana White during the fight, and then casually choked him out like it was a sparring session. That wasn't just a win, that was a statement. I'm back. And I'm still built different. Then came the Gilbert Burns War in 2022, a true test. Gilbert is no joke. Elite fighter, ranked high, dangerous everywhere. That fight was chaos. It was brutal, bloody, and full of moments that could have broken a less determined fighter. But Khamzat showed the world that he's not just a frontrunner who crushes easy fights. He can grind. He can get hit, dig deep, and keep coming forward for 3 full rounds. That performance shut a lot of people up. From there, the resume just kept getting nastier. He dominated and submitted Kevin Holland, beat one of the greatest welterweights of all time, Kamaru Usman, and most recently, pulled off a wild submission win against the always dangerous Robert Whittaker. That's a crazy resume. One fight after another. He's proving it's not just hype. This man is real. He's hunting greatness. Now all eyes are on the Dricus Du Plessis fight. That one is massive. It's the test that answers the final question. Is Khamzat Chimaev one of the greatest of all time? Or just another star who burned bright for a few years? Because no matter how impressive the resume looks, if you don't capture that belt, if you don't seal your legacy with gold, it'll always feel like something's missing. And hey, at this point, UFC needs to start cutting me a check. I'm hyping this fight harder than Joe Rogan ever would. But for real, if you haven't already, make sure you check out my full breakdown of Khamzat versus DDP. It's live now. And I dive deep into how that matchup plays out, strengths, weaknesses, and who I think walks out with the win. Links in the description. That's it from me today. Thanks for watching. If you're a real fight fan, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and share this with someone who's still sleeping on Khamzat. Have an awesome day and I'm out.